My name is Jennifer Hewins. If you've attended other sessions, you know me, but I'm the Assistant Director for Graduate Admissions. With me today, I'm joined by my colleagues in ISSA, International Students and Scholars Affairs
Affairs, yeah.
Office, and the Center for Arts and Language. Yumin, if you'd like to start.
Sure. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. We're so delighted to meet you. Um, our office, International Student and Scholar Affairs, we call it ISSA. We support students when they adapt to life and learning in a new country. Um, We provide immigration advising, such as how to maintain legal status, employment authorization, travel documents, program extension, change of major, and other matters related to international students. Um, we offer resources to students, help them adjust to life in the US, and also watch out for their academic success and campus involvement. Working with other departments, we create orientation programs, workshops, social events to help our students build a community and also better understand university policies. Um, Overall, we serve as a point of contact for international students just to make sure they feel supported throughout their academic journey at RISD. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Yumin. Alden?
Hi, everybody. My name is Alden Taylor. I'm the multilingual learning specialist at the Center for Arts and Language. So Arts and Language, or A&L, as we call it, exists basically to support students with any kind of academic assignment or communication assignment. So you'll be coming to RISD, obviously, to study art and design, not English, not language, but you'll need to be able to speak and critique. For a graduate program, you'll need to be able to write a thesis. There's all kinds of communication happening. So our office exists to work with you, to support you in any of those kinds of assignments, whether that be art and design language skills, verbal feedback, vocabulary, visual description, your academic language skills, that's research or reading and writing process, presentations and public speaking, which are a huge part of the RISD curriculum, and then general academic culture. What are expectations in the United States in particular for the kind of vocabulary you're using, how you're participating, what a research paper or thesis should be looking like. And so there's a couple of ways to get support. One of the things that Arts and Language does is host the Writing Center on campus. That means that basically we have 20 or so trained undergraduate and graduate writing tutors who can work with you on any kind of communication assignment, and you can come once to work on something, or you can make weekly appointments with them to work on those things. We have resources and materials on the web for all sorts of skills. I'll put a link to our website in the chat in a bit. And then I exist. So I, in particular, work with international students for whom probably English is not their primary language. So we can work on any academic assignments you have, but also just English language skills, building sets of vocabulary, grammar correction, all the things that you'll need to succeed in your coursework here.
Fantastic. Thank you, Alden. And I'll just say what admissions, how admissions supports international students, we're probably your very first point of contact. The admissions office at RISD is the office that creates your initial I-20 to study here. Usually that will happen after the deposit deadline, which is April 15th. At that time, by late April, we will have all the figures confirmed for tuition and costs for next year. And we use that information to create the Declaration of Finance form. That's the form that you will need to complete to indicate that you have proof of funds to study here in the US, and you need to prove 1 year. And so I pulled up last year's DOF just so I could remember exactly what was on there. But we have things like the tuition and fees, room and board, estimated books and supplies, estimated living expenses, estimated medical insurance, and if your program starts in the summer, that additional summer cost as well. Again, those figures are adjusted year to year, and we'll know those for sure by the end of April. But if you wanted to get a sense of what those figures might be, you can see for this past year, the estimated cost of attendance was last year, and that can give you a gauge of how to prepare in completing this form. I'm going to just look that up now. And generally, you would fill all this information out in Teradata. We used Teradata for the first time last year, and it worked amazing. We absolutely loved it in the admissions. It helped us process I-20s even faster than we've ever done before. Usually we have about a 2-week turnaround. So if once you submit all your documents, give us about 2 weeks to review all your documents, make sure everything looks okay, to actually create your I-20. Then your I-20 will be uploaded in Teradata, and then Teradata is the same platform that you will use once you get to campus and ISSA checks you in here. So hopefully it's a seamless transition for you in the document processing. We've scheduled this session as mostly a Q&A. So feel free at any point to drop your questions that you've been, thinking about in the Q&A section or the chat now. But in the meantime, while we wait for some of those questions to come in, I do have some queued up just in case. Let's see here. All right. Yumin, what should incoming students expect in terms of the arrival process coming to campus?
Yeah. Once the I-20 is issued, there is a program start date and also initial session start date on the I-20. So you have 2 days. Once the program start date, we're talking about orientation start date and also the initial session, which is a semester start date. You can enter the country as early as 30 days prior to the program start date, not earlier than that. Because of immigration regulations, they ask a student not to come in earlier than that. So 30 days, as early as 30 days. But you must come before the initial session start date, because we would like to all students to participate in orientation. So we would appreciate if you come in before the program start date. That way you can, get yourself settled and participate in orientation.
Just dropping the link now for the estimated cost of attendance. All right, back to my questions. Alden, you touched upon this in your introductions, but for students who may be nervous about writing or presenting, since the critique is so integral to the curriculum here, how does your office help with this in presenting in the art and design context?
Sure. So I just sent a link to the chat, which you're welcome to open and check out our entire slate of resources. So the main service that we offer, as I mentioned, is peer tutoring. And these are both graduate students and undergraduate students from across disciplines who are specifically trained by our office to work on all kinds of communication skills. So when it comes to critique, in particular, these are students who have at least 1 year if not many more years of experience engaging with this format. And they're also trained specifically and equipped with handouts and all kinds of resources to get you speaking about your work. We really recommend making an appointment early in the semester, because then you'll see the results faster and there will be more opportunity for growth. And basically what a session might look like is bringing your work or bringing an idea of your work. It doesn't even have to be a finished or even draft of a product. It can be something that you're just considering, and just beginning the brainstorming process with someone else by your side to help you find the appropriate language, to help you find what's successful, what's unsuccessful. And then through that kind of feedback loop, you gain more and more experience practicing and critique. Critique can be a really confusing practice or assessment for many students because departments have very loose rules about critique. Even professors have very different approaches to critique. So it will be helpful for you to build your own strategy in the first place, working with a tutor, so that you can kind of approach it the same way each and every single time and feel confident and not feel like the goalposts are moving so consistently.
That's great. Thank you, Alden. I kind of go back and forth. Yumin, what are some of the most common concerns or questions new international students usually have? What do you usually see common there, and how does ISSA help address them?
Sure. As soon as students arrive in the US, we would like students to submit an arrival form because this way we know the students are here. Because of immigration regulations, we have a reporting responsibility. Immigration want us to let them know through the CVIS system students has arrived, what their address is. We'd like students to participate in orientation. And also, students often have questions about a social security number, how to get a driver's license. This will be addressed during the how to, work on campus. This will be addressed during the orientation sessions. And also, we talk about some of the, we invite other departments join us. There are also some other connection building exercise programs supported by CSI. And also, Eldon from Arts and Language also provide a session, which is very interesting to all of international students. So we try to use collaborate with all departments and to provide a informative orientation for our students. And also we have orientation leaders and they help our students in this process as well. So the key is to guide our students so they can have a smooth transition into the academic journey, the beginning of the academic journey at RISD.
Great, thank you. Hold on, I just gotta pop up here. And I know you can't hear it, but I've got the leaf blowers outside. So if you see me pause a little bit, I apologize. Alden, you've mentioned people making appointments for you with your office. How does that work? Are drop-ins available, or is everything appointment based?
Yeah, absolutely. So we use the appointment system basically to reserve your spot. So at the link I sent, there is a link within there that says peer tutoring, and there will be a button that says make an appointment. And you can check out that schedule and see how it operates. Basically, you can pick by time or you can pick by tutor. So if you already know the person that you want to work with, you can just go and find them directly on the schedule, and all of their times throughout the week will pop up. And you can book out months in advance as well. If you know that you have a paper coming in December, for example, and it's September, you say, okay, I'm going to make an appointment just to hold myself accountable. So I have it and I've made it. So that's a way to reserve your time, especially because around midterms, around finals, we get a little bit busier here. Sometimes you don't get the exact time you want. However, we do welcome drop-ins. So if you drop in, we usually have about 2 tutors on at all times. And if one of them is available, they'll be more than happy to meet you. The only thing I would say is students only have card access to our space from 9 to 5. But we do have peer tutors working outside those hours as well on some weeknight evenings and the weekends as well. So for those times, if you want to come in on a Saturday, for example, it's better to make an appointment so the tutor is expecting you and can let you inside. For working with me, I appear on, I have some hours on this website, and then I also have my own direct scheduling link. So if you have any more questions about that also, I'll put my email in the chat. You're more than welcome to reach out to me directly to ask some more specific questions.
Thank you. I do have a question that came in the chat, and I can help answer this question. This person's wondering, is it possible to apply for financial aid before admissions? So generally, everybody should be applying for financial aid before admissions. After you submit your application, or before it's in your application status portal. There's a tab called financial aid. And under that tab, there'll be a section where there'll be a checklist with a hyperlink for the RISD institutional financial aid form. All students, it doesn't matter if you're international or US, need to complete that form. That indicates that you want to be considered for aid. If you don't fill that out, means to us that you don't want to be considered for aid. And this is something that we recently started doing in the past couple of years because domestic students can fill out the FAFSA for federal funding. And we collect that information as well, but there wasn't a system in place of getting similar type of information for international students. And then just so everybody knows that international students are eligible for fellowships and assistantships at RISD. Over 90% of all of our incoming grads received a fellowship of some capacity last year, which is great. So filling out that form will be really important. But as Yumin mentioned, some of the other funding opportunities like campus work study, being able to work on campus is contingent on your ability to get a social security number. And unfortunately, that's not something you can do until you actually get here. And ISSA will be able to help you navigate that process. Correct me if I'm wrong, Yumin.
Yes, you can't apply for a social security number unless you have an on-campus job. You can't have an on-campus job unless you are here.
Perfect. Thank you, Yumin. There's also a portal called Scholarship Universe that's on our Student Financial Services website. That's another way to find supplemental funding for your education as well. But I believe you don't have access to that until you are enrolled and matriculated here and you have a RISD email address and credentials. So there is some extra steps here for international students, but just about what's available for domestic students, aside from the federal funding, is also available to international students as well. I hope that helped answer your question. Perfect. All right, back to my questions. Yumin, I know your office helped with this, but how does ISSA support students with things like work authorization, CPT, OPT, during and after their studies?
Okay. When students come here, F1s, we have F1s and also J1 students. Primarily, our students are F1 in F1 status. So what students would do, go to Artworks, look for on-campus employment. Once they have a position secured, they will go through, get the job offer from the specific department or office they work for, and then they will upload it to student portal in Teradata, and we will process a social security support letter. And students will bring the offer letter, social security support letter issued by us, passport, I-94, and their I-20, go to social security office to apply for a social security card. This is for initial students. When you come here, you work on campus. Lots of programs will offer internship for students to complete internship during their studies. As F1 students, you will meet one full academic year studies, a fall and a spring semester or spring and a fall semester, before you'll be eligible for internship. So what it is whether it's paid or unpaid internship. If you're going to work off campus, you must apply authorization from our office. It's called a CPT. So there is a process, go through Artworks and different departments will process, approve this CPT process. After you get the CPT, then you can work off campus. So there are two components. One is the academic component that you must satisfy your academic components to see what is required before you can start your internship. The other component is the CPT, employment authorization, which is from our office. The basic requirement you have to satisfy one full academic year. And the job must be directly related to your major. It can't be any job off campus, and it has to be integral part of your established curriculum. That's for CPT. Those are on-campus jobs. CPT is when you are here as a student. Then before you graduate in your final semester, we'll help you apply for OPT. OPT is optional practical training. So what it is you will get employment authorization from USCIS to work in this country 12 months after you graduate. You're legally allowed to do that as long as the job is directly related to your major. You work no less than 20 hours per week. Now, some majors are STEM majors, science, technology, math, and engineering. If you have a major which is classified as a STEM major, you can extend your OPT for another 24 months. But the condition is you must have an E-Verify employer, and the employer is willing to offer a training plan for you, which is demonstrated through a Form 983. So those are the conditions and the general eligibilities for employment authorization, either on campus or off campus, before you graduate or after graduate. Hope it helps.
Perfect. Thank you, Yumin. Another question came in, and you just touched upon this, but if you don't mind reiterating, for how long may international students remain in the United States after graduation, and under what conditions?
Great question. So as F1 student, if you, for example, you graduate, you're not going to apply for OPT, you will have a grace period of 60 days to leave the country. But if you want to pursue your OPT, complete your OPT. After your OPT ends, you still have another 60 days to stay in this country. That's the current regulation. But there's pending proposed rule. This is something it's not in effect yet. That might change the picture.
Thank you, Yumin. All right, I have some questions now that I think both of you can help. Both of you can answer. What advice do you have for international students to feel prepared and confident for when they first arrive to RISD?
It's a big question. I would say start looking into things that we call the hidden curriculum. And let me explain what I mean by that. Every single country, every single academic culture has its own expectations and standards, which it doesn't tell you out loud. And the US is no different. So coming to the US to study, you'll be confronted with likely a very different way of doing school than what you're used to in your home country. Maybe you've studied abroad in the US, or maybe you have experience studying abroad in another country and you've experienced this kind of phenomenon before. So even just doing a little bit of research to see what classroom expectations are in the US and how they might differ from your own. I'll give you some quick examples. In the US, it's generally expected that you're participating verbally in every single class, but also not dominating. So you need to find a way to participate like 2 or 3 times or as much as everyone else is participating. It's expected that you'll be communicating regularly with your professor. So if you have any problems, the first thing to do is always to reach out to them. Don't feel scared of them. And then also paper writing conventions. I mean, in the United States, there is a standard academic format which begins with an introduction, it introduces an argument, and then proceeds logically, we call it, through the argument to a conclusion. So this might differ from the writing conventions of your home country. So I would recommend maybe taking a look at some of those things. There's some YouTube videos about it, or just doing a little bit of Google research about it and hearing people talk about it.
Fantastic. Excellent. Thank you.
If I may add to it, I was an international student, so I had that experience as well. What I did was I actually didn't get involved in campus activities or connect with other people because I was so stressed and culture shock, food is different, language barrier, and all of that adds to the extra pressure. I just feel like if I could put my head on, focusing on study, I would get ahead. It's actually just the contrary because what happens is you actually push yourself to a dark corner. You feel like even though support is out there, but you're not going to look for support or ask for support. I would recommend you strike a conversation, connect with somebody, get involved on campus, either as a club or some sort of activities. Once that network is established, it builds up your confidence. You feel like it's a community that you have helped building. You feel so comfortable in it. That's when you're going to make RISD your home away from home. And don't just hang out. If I'm from Ghana, I'm just only hang out with students from Ghana or Greece or South Korea. And just other students want to connect with you too. Everybody feels shy waiting for somebody else to make the first step, but I think that's what I would recommend. And I regretted that, but I always tell students, don't repeat the same mistake as I made. Thank you.
That's wonderful advice, Yuman. Thank you. This is a great question. I'm hoping to get your help with this, Yuman. How has the current U.S. administration made conditions more difficult for international students? And what common problems should incoming international students expect to encounter?
It's a very good question. It's something actually not only on your mind as a student, it's something on our mind too, as advisors or faculty members or staff members. I think our standing is clear and strong that we welcome international students regardless, regardless what country you're from. To us, we're all the same, we're equal, and we welcome you. Some of what the government is doing, it's policies. Some of that is just the kind of rhetoric, that's something sometimes that we need to separate the noise from what's actually happening. So I believe this country still is a very welcoming country. With that being said, there is some upcoming rules and policies the government is changing. But I think as international students, since we're still admitting international students, we still want the students come. What you need to do is to pay attention, like when you go for a visa interview, right? You do your homework. And if there's any rules and regulations, when you come to the United States as ISSA, International Student Scholar Affairs, we, as international student advisors, will watch out for you, will advise you, pay attention, and make sure you are protected in terms of maintaining your legal status. I gave you some examples when you go for a visa interview. there are a few things you need to pay attention to. I would assume you're worried about visa application if you are going to get the visa application. There is still allowing students to apply for F1 visas to come to the United States. But who is going to get it? That makes a difference. So you need to be very clear and concise because the visa interview is not about a document review. It's never about document review. The consular embassy officers will make a decision within the first couple of minutes, right? So you need to be clear and concise. You need to be ready to clearly demonstrate your ties to your home country because this is a non-immigrant visa. They don't want you to have immigrant intention. If you say, I'm going there, I'm going to study, I'm going to stay, you probably will not get the visa, right? So your family ties, do you have any property, any future job perspectives, any financial planning, all of that adds to your ties to your home country. How did you hear the program about RISD? Why do you choose this major? You can't say that, well, my friends told me this is a good school, that's why I'm going. They want to see you actually know about the program, you know about the school, you do have a plan, and your future plan fits into what you're doing with your current program. They also want to know that you don't have the intention after your study that you will stay in this country permanently. They don't want that. Remember, this is a non-immigrant visa. They also want to know that the review, you probably, all of you have already heard about the social media vetting, right? All of you. If you decide, okay, I'm going to wipe out my social media account, I won't have any. We've heard, I just came back from a conference, we've heard they denied students for visa application because they have no presence in social media. So this is something because they're questioning you wiped it out. You might have something, against the government or something, you wiped it out. So your social media hygiene, that's something I would recommend you take a look, right? You have the right to voice what you want to say, but you do want to pay attention to your social media hygiene. We are here to support our students. This entire campus is very welcoming. We love our international students or domestic students. We love our students. So do not have any fear about studying in the US. You want to be cautious. You want to pay attention what the rules are, what the regulations are. But as long as you act within the parameter of what the law allows, you will be fine. You will be fine.
Very helpful, Human. Thank you. We still have some time, so feel free to keep putting questions in the chat. I have another question here queued up. You both have talked about the international orientation and how each of your offices support international students during that orientation. But outside of that, are there any other cultural or community building programs for international students to connect with each other?
Can I talk about that? I know Alden probably want to join too. Um, I'm actually excited to share with you this week is International Education Week. It's from November 17th to 21st. This International Education Week was launched by Department of State in 2000. And it has a history of 25 years and is celebrated by institutions and organizations in many countries. So what we worked with the different departments. We created a week of events. I'll give you some examples. For example, we have international snacks and teas. Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday and Friday for this week. And we showcase international snacks from different regions. And, I met during the event some of the students, they said, oh, I actually grew up with this. Oh, I grew up with that. It was really fun interactions to see, how this could connect students. And then different students started from different countries start talking about, oh, in my country, this snack is like this and this. So it's really fun. We have different, we also have teas from different countries as well. And we also have an event hosted with Residents Life. We have postcards. Some of the postcards are plain. Some of the postcards, they have Rhode Island on it. And we bought stamps as well. So the staff members from Residence Life who are stationed in the Met. And also today will be at the portfolio out and you might be able to see it. And because we have so many artsy students, the playing card will be so useful. They can just draw and write something and they will send it to their home. And we also have worked with the RISD dining. So from the November 15th, they started early, 2 days earlier until the end of the week. They will have food inspired by recipes from 22 countries so students can enjoy and have that. We also connect with ISE and have a community gathering, which happened on the 18th. I think students went there, they joined the international food, just have a conversation. There's no specific topic, but let's get together, let's connect with each other, let's just have a conversation. So those are the things we're doing. And also we offer workshops for our students as well. Throughout the semester, we invite immigration lawyers come on campus, talk to students and give them tips and all that. Yeah.
Mm.
Hope that
Yeah, and
helps.
that's great. And then that covers everything that we offer on campus. So I guess all I would offer is you should remember that like you can look off campus too, and Providence is a great place for that. RISD is like adjacent to kind of melded with Brown University, which has an enormous international student population as well. So lots of interplay between the student bodies and the international student groups in particular. And within Providence itself, I mean, there are many more universities as well, like Johnson and Wales and Providence College. So it's a great place for that kind of interaction. And in the Providence metro area, there are lots of cultural affinity groups and cultural events happening throughout the year. So to name a few, there's lots of Portuguese and Greek, Dominican and West African groups all hosting weekends of food festivals and religious festivals. So it's a great place to kind of try different things, meet lots of different people. The RISD campus is wonderful in a way because it feels like it's just part of a city. It doesn't feel enclosed by any stretch of the imagination. So yeah, definitely use social media or word of mouth. Look at the posters that are hanging around for ideas of events you can be attending.
Awesome. That's so great. And Alden, you just kind of touched upon this next question, and I can help elaborate. And if you have anything else you want to add, let me know.
Mm.
Are there any on-campus housing options for international students? If so, what are they? And I will just note, I just dropped a link in the chat from Residence Life about grad housing. There is a very limited amount of housing on campus for grad students. Those housing options are like studio style apartments, and they're actually in Alden's building, 15 West. If that's something that there isn't like international and there isn't special housing for international students or anything like that. It's for everybody. If you do want to live on campus, that's something you would want to reach out to Residence Life pretty early on after being admitted, and they can tell you more about that process. We will do a number of events for admitted students before the deposit deadline. And one of those sessions is with Residence Life, where a staff member from the staff will go through that process. about how to apply for that limited grad housing, but also how to navigate finding housing options in the Providence area as well. All right, perfect. Let's see here. Human, this is another question for you, and it's a follow-up to that bigger question that we got. What types of social media posts could negatively affect someone's chances of obtaining a visa?
It's entirely up to the government, and it's something we can't, it's almost, to me, I feel like, the freedom is something lots of us, that's the reason lots of us come to the country, right? So it's unfortunate we have to go through this. However, I feel, what are you going to say, regardless on social media or anywhere else? I think you should be saying something responsibly. I don't know how to put it in another way. Don't say things you're not going to be able to responsible for it, or don't say something which does not add to peace. Um, you know, to stir up things does not add to peace. I feel like this is the maximum um, I could advise you on, because I really don't want to tell you, you can say this, you cannot say that. You are a human being, you have the rights to say what you want to say, you have the freedom, in my view, but you want to be mindful of what you say. That's what I can say.
Perfect. Thank you, Human. I have another, and again, feel free, we're here till 10 o'clock, so feel free to keep putting the questions in the chat. And if you think of something afterwards, as Human mentioned, you can email us as well, and we're happy to answer those questions too. A big part of not necessarily a big part, but students do have the options to study abroad here at RISD during the winter session. There are travel abroad options through RISD Global. Is that something that international students should be concerned about? Can they still take advantage of those resources and travel opportunities as well?
Yeah, international students can do study abroad and go through RISD Global. This is something you need to, students, when they do study abroad as international student, their CVS record would be maintained active. And the only thing they need to be mindful is, before they do study abroad, they should be here to have already met the one full academic year already. So this way, especially for a graduate program, it's very short. And then you want to come back to be able to apply for OPT. So before you go on to study abroad, you should have at least one full academic year here, study at RISD in F1 status. This is something, once you come to RISD, you can, contact RISD Global, and they will guide you through it and advise you what you should be doing for study abroad. They have a very good system for doing that.
Thank you. Any other questions out there? I've neared the end of my queued questions that I've had for this session.
Well, I just want to add to like what Eldon said earlier. That Providence, to me, Providence is very exciting. You never are short of things to do. There's so many things I want to do here. I still haven't got to it. I just feel like Providence is energetic and creative, and have, it just has so much life to it. As international students, I know you're looking for communities where I can buy my groceries, where I can buy food, and all that is available. there are lots of international restaurants as well. So all kinds of food you can enjoy. So this is something, yeah, I think Providence is definitely a city I would recommend.
That's great. Perfect. There's something else I was going to add to that, and I just lost my train of thought. But yeah, if some of you are new to this region, Providence is a very walkable city, and the Rhode Island School of Design is embedded within the downtown area of Providence. And so within an arm's reach, like where I am, my building right now, I can just about see the Brown campus. It's super close. As Alden mentioned, we do have Johnson and Wales, which is right around the corner. We have Brown University. We also have Providence College, which is a big college. A little further out, we have Rhode Island College. So it is a very, there's a hub of a ton of students and international students here. We're also wedged between Boston and New York. We're 1 hour between Boston and about 3 hours from New York. And there is a train station that is walkable from campus. So that's a great way of getting to both of those cities. So when I say 1 hour, it's like a 1 hour train ride to New York and a 1 hour train ride and a 3 hour train ride to New York. And we're just like, this happy little, I think it's a happy little bubble, in between both. Of course, rent has, increased over the years, but I think it still has maintained a bit more affordable than Boston and New York. All right. Any other questions out there? If not, we might conclude a little bit early. Oh, one more question. Let's see here. Is OPT something students must apply for, or is it automatically granted as an extension of the student visa?
It's a benefit that a student must apply for in their final semester. So what students do is they apply through us. We recommend the OPT issue the I-20, and the students gather all the supporting documents and with the I-20 and submit to USCIS, and USCIS will issue a employment authorization card, EAD, after it's approved. Then student can start working after they get the EED card.
Fantastic. I'm not sure if you would know this, Yumin, but what kind of jobs do painting MFA graduates typically take during their OPT period?
It's a great question. So I've had students I talk to me about it from the painting major, right? It's some of the students, what they do is they have connections, like reach out to art galleries, and they actually hire them as intern during the OPT time, because during the first 12-month OPT, the position can be either paid or unpaid as long as it's directly related to your major and it's at least 20 hours per week. That satisfies the rule. So some of the students want to learn how to be familiar with a art gallery, how it operates and all that. So they can get either paid or unpaid internships during their OPT time. So during the OPT time, you're allowed to do internships during that time as well. And some of the students will have contracts with art gallery for their own exhibition, and but it's not very easy to document the hours, right? If you're doing it on your own. But if you do it in connection with our art gallery, being hired by them. And also during the OPT time, self-employment is allowed. We're talking about the 12 months OPT, not STEM OPT. Self-employment is allowed. So students can self-employ themselves and demonstrate to immigration. Like, for example, you have multiple offers, even if it's short term, by different organizations or art galleries or, companies. It's okay as long as the combine is 20 hours per week. That will be fine. Yeah.
Thank you. Um, as we near the end here, I do have a closing question, and you both have touched upon this throughout this 1 hour. But what's one piece of advice you would give to every incoming international student?
Yeah, like you mean, I was also an international student, and so her story really resonated with me, about feeling like, oh, I don't need to take advantage of the resources until suddenly I realized I really should have been taking advantage of the resources all along. And so I think that that's something to use the first 2 weeks of your time here doing when you have a bit more flexibility, when you have a bit more free time, when the workload, the notorious RISD workload hasn't caught up with you yet, is to really just start exploring all those resources, and seeing what works for you and seeing if any of them are worthwhile to you to continue. Because it really is about making those connections early on for you to feel comfortable going back to them. It's the same as like going to a new place. Like the first time you do it, it could be incredibly anxiety inducing. But once you've been there once, once you've been there twice, once you've been there 3 times, it becomes more natural to you, easier to access. You feel more at home in it. So yeah, I would just start thinking about making that plan when you get here to explore and make those connections quickly so then you can rely on them for the rest of your time here.
Excellent, great.
Yes, I can't agree more, with that. I think it's to the point. I also have two things. One is in terms of immigration requirements, status maintenance. Make sure you ask first. Don't do it first and then ask. It'll be too late. Second is in terms get connected with others and be curious about everything. As international students, we have international students from many countries, right? In our backyard, it's literally a United Nation here, right here. Where do you go to a place you can see students and people from so many countries? Utilize these resources. Be curious. Learn about them, learn from them, and offer something for them to learn from you as well. And hopefully, when you graduate, you're not only looking at your academic growth, achievement, and also looking at your personal growth as well. Just know that we're here to support you all the way through, even after you graduate, because we still help you when you're on OPT, STEM OPT. So we're here.
Fantastic advice. Thank you to both of you. All right, I think that will do it for our session today. Thank you so much, Yumin and Alden, for joining me this morning at 9 a.m. And thank you for everybody for tuning on wherever you are in the world, no matter the time zone. We so appreciate you being here. We appreciate your application, and we look forward to helping you navigate this process, all the way up to application, and then if admitted, to actually getting here as well. But with that, I'll just say goodbye, and I hope to
Thank
see
you,
you soon.
everyone.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you. Bye.
have a great day. Thank you.